Yes, welcome back to Dyl Friends. Full credit to the team at Dove Men+Care for showing care as sponsors of this podcast. We can't thank you enough for being a part of this. It's been pretty cool to give away $5,000 for the last 7 weeks or so, which has been really, really cool. So, hey, guess what?
What?
We've got one more winner today.
It's a goodie. Exciting.
Is it a goodie?
It's a goodie.
I'm excited to hear. This week's winner is Lachlan Gillespie.
Lachlan here, first time caller, long time listener. I really love the message you guys are putting out there. I'm proud to be a fan of the work you guys do. I'm not sure if this qualifies, but I'd love to give full credit to my boys. Being a young dad at 25, it can be a struggle to be a good partner, a good friend, or even just a good father. But those two little lads can just pull you out of anything with a smile, cheeky little grin. I've been struggling with pressures of day-to-day life of racing, but all my problems fly away at the door when I get home. As you can tell, I'm not very good at speaking and struggle sometimes, but you don't have to talk with them. They just listen. They just know. They can just tell. And it's just, they don't have a care in the world except for, I don't know, hot chips. If I was to win this money, I promise to buy them $5,000 worth of hot chips for all they're doing for me. Thank you guys for giving us a platform to speak on. I really love it. Thanks, lads.
Fuck, what a star.
There you go.
Just to clarify, he's got 2 young boys?
Yep.
Oh, awesome.
And they love hot chips.
Well,
so good.
What young boy doesn't love hot chips? I love hot chips still.
We should get some.
We have a chippy tax here, don't we?
We do.
Hey, congratulations, Lachlan. Thoroughly deserved of that one. I can, being a dad myself, I can completely agree. You can have so much shit going on, and then as soon as you get home, well, 2 parts to this. One, you're just so happy to get home and see them, but 2, they're so amazing but also challenging. You can't actually focus on anything else because your time is just so heavily invested in them. It sounds like a great dad. Loved his message. Also getting out of his comfort zone. He said he's not a great public speaker. I disagree. Thought that was a great message. Thought he did an awesome job. And that's just another awesome deserved winner of our incredible listeners, and big thank you to Dove Men+Care hotline, which we really appreciate. Very cool.
Hey, speaking of being a dad.
Yeah, the best dad.
The best dad in the world, behind my dad.
Well, I've got a mug that says that.
Do you?
Does your dad have that?
Yeah, he's got a few.
Corruption.
So we're recording this before Father's Day.
Yes.
Coming up on the weekend.
Yes, I'll be in Bali with Max and Justine.
So this will be your second Father's Day.
It will be.
number 2.
Wow.
And he was only young at that one, and I sort of had a word to him saying, hey, I'm looking forward to next year. Because there wasn't much sort of like going on at that age.
What did he get you last year?
Not much. I think he just threw up on me or something.
Yeah.
Like that. It wasn't like...
beautiful.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Hey, well, we've actually got a little surprise for you. He's figured out how to use the iPhone.
Oh, he loves the iPhone.
And he's called in. He's actually called into the Dove Men+Care hotline.
Did he call the Dove Men+Care hotline?
And he left you a little voice message.
Oh, my
so
God.
Let's have a listen to
Here we
this.
go.
I love you.
That's very, very beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
What a
That's
beautiful
so
young boy.
nice.
Yeah, he's a star. He very funny, so he's starting to talk, obviously, as you can hear. And he says, Dada, Mama, his 2 favourite things to say is, Jazz has taught him how to say I love you, which he says to like everyone. He'll just be walking around and go, ta-ta, I love you, because he always says that when he like leaves.
You don't mean that.
Leaves out. I'm like, yeah, I don't think you do mean that. But then the other thing, his favourite thing to say is outdoor, like odor. He just wants to go out the door. Like he just walks up to the door and goes, odor, like open door. And just wants to like walk outside. Hates being in the house. So he's keeping us on our feet. But fuck, it's been an incredible 16, 17 months. So a big, happy Father's Day to all parents out there. And, maybe for those that, are missing a father or a father figure in their life, I can understand how challenging these days would be because it's bloody challenging. Happy Father's Day to you all, fathers.
Shout out, Rod.
Thank you. Yeah, shout out to Chook.
Happy Father's Day,
Jimmy boy.
Jimbo.
Which is funny. It's funny when you like have a dad and it's Father's Day, but then you're got your own
Do you
kid.
just forget about
Yeah,
it?
you like it's my day.
Yeah,
You're like, sorry, it's not about you anymore.
Yeah, which is really cool. So, happy Father's Day to all those out there from us and Dove Men+Care and
Call your dad.
call your dad.
Give
Give him a
him a
call.
call.
Yeah, bloody oath. Give him
Oh,
a
they
buzz
love
and-
it.
Yeah, it's a good day. Hey, let's get into this episode of this podcast with another dad,
Oh,
Yeah.
Adam
Yes.
Treloar. We brought little Georgie
Georgie
in
came
when we
in.
did the
Oh
podcast as well.
my
She's an
God.
absolute ripper, isn't
She is the cutest little kid I've ever met.
So Mon and Will were playing around with Georgie outside. They were putting on. What was she watching?
No, she didn't want to watch anything.
she was playing,
she
drawing
was
and
running
playing
around.
with
She was
Frank.
drawing. We took Frankie out.
Yeah.
She was eating. I reckon she ate about 12 biscuits from the biscuit tin.
Yep.
And
That's what Moff usually does.
yeah,
Moff
so
loves
Moff would have gone there. None left. Georgie ate them all.
So context as well. Georgie's obviously Adam Treloar's daughter.
Yes.
Who came into the podcast studio and while we're doing the pod, and yeah, unbelievable. She's got a great personality. She was very, very funny. But this episode with Adsy was unreal. So good to chat with him about his journey from Giants to Collingwood to Bulldogs ultimately now, which are going for a flag tilt. Will be really, really exciting to see where they end up. But yeah, he's got an awesome story from growing up in Dandenong to getting picked up as a 17-year-old, as I said, to the Giants, and what he sort of learnt over that whole time doing his podcast with Josh Dunkley's relationship there. Spoke about his journey with his OCD.
Yeah, that really surprised me.
Yeah.
It's been documented a bit, but
Yeah.
I didn't really know much about that. Like it really affected him early days in his career. His OCD stuff. Like he couldn't like run in certain like parts of the ground or something.
Yeah,
Is
so
that right?
even because we as you'll find out in the episode, I knew him from a young age, and we were playing a lot of our junior footy, rep footy together, and he says it in the show, which is really interesting. Like he didn't even know he was doing it.
Yeah,
But everyone else around was like, oh. Back then, when you're young, you don't know. You just think, oh, that's a few little weird quirks that he has. But yeah, wouldn't run on like the lines or step on certain things on the ground or anything like that. There was a lot of sort of things he was getting himself into. And one of the things he said that he, one day, because of something to do with going to school, he talks about in the show, he couldn't get out of bed till like 2 p.m. Just laid in bed all day, which he realised how debilitating it was. But through a lot of work, he got it under control, and obviously is not holding him back anymore, which is a really cool message for anyone out there that is going through anything like that, which is really cool.
Absolutely. He's probably had one of his best years now too.
Best years, yeah. He speaks about that. Speaks about his mindset around how, for lack of a better word, maybe intrinsically motivated, like maybe he was thinking a lot about himself in his early career, and then changed that to like, how can I just play in a good team? And all those other bits too. So speaks about the Collingwood trade, speaks about the Giants trade, speaks about everything. It's a really, really cool app. So hope you enjoy it. Let us know what you think. And look forward to chatting next week. Adsy, how are you, mate?
Going well, mate. It's
good to see
be
you.
here. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You know, the last time I reckon we sat in a room and had a conversation, not because we fell out or anything, just because we haven't had one in a long time, was when we roomed together.
Yep.
In South Africa.
Would have been then.
About like 2000 and
that's,
like
what year
literally would have been like
24.
2009 or something.
Yeah, that's 15 years ago, mate. Far out. Getting old. Far out. I do remember those days. It was innocent old Adam Treloar, who's changed quite a bit now. But yeah, good days.
Mate, what would you... Oh, this is heavy off the top, but like what would you think now? Like, everything you've achieved, everything you've been through since that period, and I'm even reflecting on myself, life in general, how crazy is it how shit turns out?
Mate, compared to the 17 at the time, so that was obviously when we met, you and I.
Yeah.
16.
We were doing 16.
16.
We just had our camera stolen
Yeah,
out of it.
I remember that. I think Michael Bussey and Johnny Patton as well had a couple of things stolen as well.
So context, we're in South Africa.
I remember that.
And we've had I think we had all our shit in our safe, all our passports, cameras, digital cameras, phones, everything. There was no iPhones back then, obviously, but we were taken. I'd have no memories of that trip anymore because all that shit got stolen.
Oh, mate, it would have been yours, not mine, because I couldn't afford anything. It would have been all your stuff. But nah, it's gone. Obviously, the experiences that I've gone through, I just mentioned naive young boy. I very well and truly was. I was a very anxious kid who battled a lot with OCD and really struggling. So to now, be 15 years later and be in the position I am in, I'm truly grateful for all my experiences. And that one was a very unique one, but one I enjoyed a lot.
It's really interesting, man. And not from knowing each other for a long time, I have obviously followed your journey. So proud of what you've been able to achieve. And
thanks, mate.
There's some there's a lot of admiration. There's envy in there too, because I'm like, fuck, But there's also a point where I'm like, I'm not surprised by any of it too. Like I'm
Appreciate
really
it,
what you've done hasn't shocked me at all because I've got to see it from such a young age. And,
Thanks, mate.
And I know there's a lot more to come in that.
Hope so.
But there's probably there is a part of it too where you spoke before about very anxious kid and struggled with later to know of OCD.
Yeah, definitely.
There was always, I suppose, and I'm not sure how to frame this properly, but there was those little quirks that you had.
100%, mate.
And at that time, you were just sort of playing it off as something that was just a
the thing
bit
is,
quirky and
very much quirky. I mean,
Yeah.
you mentioned obviously yourself, Dylan Shield, Tom Bugg, these guys that I came through with. They would have seen that, well and truly, and it was. And it's funny because I don't remember being in that frame of mind. I don't remember being a kid. Like I remember having OCD. But I don't remember the things that I used to do. That's the thing. I genuinely couldn't tell you the frame of mind that I was in. It was just a part of my makeup. It's how I was. It's how I functioned. It's how I dealt with pressures of things in my life. And for me at that time, it was clearly footy. Footy was my get out of where I was in life at that time. And I really, really wanted to make it as a footballer. And I just remember, the under 16 national carnival that we had up in Blacktown. I remember that was probably my first experience with it where, being this kid who grew up with nothing, absolutely nothing, never made any rep sides, wasn't because I wasn't good enough. It was just I wasn't exposed to that stuff because, I'm a kid from Dandenong, didn't really have much. I remember making that 16 side off the back of the Dandenong Stingrays carnival that we had, and I just remember I just started to fall into a trap of doing things repetitively, and that's kind of the only thing I remember from it. And then it, exploded into this big thing where, boys used to say I used to avoid stepping on cracks, and my reset was to throw a bit of grass in the air, and I used to do it freaking 100 times in a game. But the thing is, I don't remember doing it. That's the thing. I don't remember doing it. And I just remember my first psychologist that I seen at GWS when I was 17, Rosie was her name. She's a wonderful person. She delved into that a little bit, and she really helped me transition from OCD doing weird mannerisms to making it effective in regards to my footy. So it could be going above and beyond with touch or going above and beyond with recovering the ice bars rather than, touching the ground or whatever it may be. So I really feel like that helped a lot. And, now if you were to ask me about my OCDs, I don't have really any, to be honest. And it's crazy because I know for you, hearing that would be like, wow, I remember you, Adsy, being that kid who had a lot of OCDs, and the boys that I mentioned before, they would have, they'd be pretty blown away by the fact that I actually don't have anything now that I follow, religiously to the point where you can clearly see that it affects me. So, it's been quite a journey from that kid, but those experiences really helped shape me.
Mate, it's so cool to hear, and it's honestly, I think for anyone listening to the podcast as well, to know that if you are experiencing something like that, and we talk about a vast scale, if we spoke about to every single person, I'm sure someone's going through something on what scale it is, but it's all relative to them at the time. Like to hear that you've put in the work enough to be able to get on top of that stuff is really it's awesome. Like I know that I have been super public on just like my own things that I deal with around anxiety and stuff, and it's always awesome to hear about someone who's gone through something, being able to get on top of it, because there always is that fear that you're never going to be able to control something.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me, and you're right, I agree with everything you said, the biggest thing for me was it was really affecting my day-to-day life. And from what I mean in that is I had to do all these things just to function throughout the day, and it could take up to a couple of hours. Like I remember one day specifically when I was 17, my top age year, I'd already been drafted to the GWS. So essentially from March to, when do we move? November. That's however months that is. Like I was just going to school and staying at home, playing footy, playing for the Stingrays, but I knew I was going to Sydney. So my anxiety levels were through the roof because, I had all this time to prepare to move to be an AFL player. I was stressed and I wasn't doing the right thing. And I remember one time, all I remember is I was laying in my bed, got up at 8 o'clock, didn't go to school because I couldn't get out of bed until 2 p.m. So 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. I literally couldn't get out of bed because I was doing something that just wasn't letting me get out of bed, whether it was stepping out of bed the right way or whatever it was. And the only reason I remember this is because my younger brother kept coming in and out and being, are you going to come out of bed? And I'm like, yeah, I'm coming, I'll be there. Went on for, 6 hours. And I eventually got out of bed and I was like, what the heck is wrong with me? And another time was when I was in the car at the Dandenong Stingrays, and I wasn't tying my shoelace right. My mum seen me tying my shoelace, and we were legitimately sitting in the car for about 45 minutes, and training was on. And my mum has gone, she's like, she never reacts. She loves me. I could play the worst game in the world. She'll tell me I'm the best player on the ground. Like, she's been like that since I was a kid. And she's never reacted to me with anything, really. And I just remember her going, Adam, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And I just remember as soon as she said that, I was like, oh, shit. And then I quickly tied my shoelaces. I went out there. And, Mum probably doesn't even remember that, but I remember that. And I remember those moments, and it's like, my God, like, I need to get out of this frame of mind. And it took a long, long time. But, yeah, those first 12 months with Rosie at the Giants really, really helped me.
It's awesome. Last one on this, because, there's so much to talk about today, but I think what could be a really cool message is, say, for example, someone knows someone in their life that is facing and doing what you were doing at that stage. What was the best thing that someone did to support you in that? Like, was it was it your mum sort of helping you crack out of it? Was it just to like continually check in, see what you're doing? Like, what did you think?
I think the biggest thing I took from it was, I think I'm thinking out loud here.
Yeah.
Probably was the first time I actually went and spoke to someone and realised that I actually had a problem, because I told you those two moments that I just used as an example, and they were two times where I realised, wow, like I've got a serious, like, what the heck? And then say I'd do that for 10 seconds realising, I'd then fall back into the pattern if I went and started training with the boys or whatever it is, because I'm in that anxious mode, I'm in that anxiety mode where I want to train well, I want to impress the coaches. And I think the fact that I noticed those two moments, went to my psych, which was Rosie, and I didn't hold anything back. I told her how I felt with what I was feeling and what was really making me struggle. Told her about, again, I don't remember what I used to do, but she would say, what are you doing? And I'd just be like, oh, I've been told I'm doing, I won't step on this line. I'll avoid stepping on a line, or I'll do this. And as I said, she would try and focus all the energy into putting it into something that will help me, rather than physically and mentally just wear me down. And the more and more I practiced that as a repetition, the better I got. And as I said, eventually it got to a point where, you're always going to have little quirks, like maybe putting your shoes on left to right or whatever it is, but unconsciously.
Yeah.
But it wasn't affecting my day-to-day stuff, to now where it genuinely doesn't affect my day-to-day stuff,
awesome,
which
mate.
is something I'm so proud of. Because,
good on you. Done the work.
The kid me, man, I would never have imagined I'd be playing AFL my 14th year now, and like from those early day struggles of being that kid to now. So yeah, it's been a lot of work, but it's good.
Good on you, bro. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
And I'm sure you're helping a lot of people on the way that are experiencing similar things. So should be extremely proud of that.
Thanks, mate.
Talk us through, it's a long period. You've obviously got the Ads and Dunks podcast now. I'm sure you boys do a lot of this. The boys are killing it. Brooks Blooms, are you guys, is that like a landscaping?
Yeah, Brooks a gun, mate.
I've seen them doing some good stuff up there at Dunksy's. He's got a nice little, California bungalow up. He might have a few up there in Brisbane.
He will soon. He's got one in Noosa as well. But
cool.
Brooks a gun. She's a big Bulldogs fan. And mad Bulldogs fan. Like, I've never seen anyone more passionate than her. And obviously, Joshy was one of her favourite players at the Bulldogs. He's obviously made the transition.
So she's
to Brisbane.
in Victoria?
No. She's Queensland based.
Yeah, right.
But her old man played for the Bulldogs, which is a pretty cool connection. He's a mad Bulldogs fan. But yeah, we were obviously looking for a sponsor, and for a while we were just narrowing it down. And then obviously Josh had a great contact in Brooke, and she's just the gun, mate. We've got a group chat where she messages both of us before the game, after the game, supports us regardless. So
it's beautiful.
It is a great relationship.
That's what you want. The show's going well. You're killing it off the field. In your career, starting at the Giants, so head over to the Pies. Now at the mighty Western Bulldogs, and the year this year, the career you've had some incredible sort of like ups. Some hard moments, some real trajectory in there. How would you sum it up at the moment? Like, I know that's a hard time. Maybe start at the Giants. Like, what's your memories from being a fresh-faced kid down there in Blacktown? Like, you would have seen it from the OG, like not what it is now. No. You were there, like right back there.
Yeah. Obviously, I remember touring Blacktown for the first time when I was that 17-year-old kid, and it was just it was cool, but it was like, I don't know. I just didn't know what to think. And I just remember the excitement of knowing that I was going to be playing for an AFL club. And I don't reckon that really hit me until like after the first year. Because remember the first year we spent in the NEAFL, you boys, because that was obviously your draft year and whatnot. You guys were playing tack cut back here and we were playing in the NEAFL competition.
You had those blue and white jumpers.
Yeah. And then we transitioned obviously into the orange ones, and we were playing against like like we were playing against Canberra-based sides and winning by 180 points. Like there were games where it just didn't feel like we were in the AFL yet. But the experience of having Choco Williams, Kevin Sheedy, two obviously, you know, their resume speaks for itself, was just incredible. That first year, I mean, it flew by, absolutely flew by. I feel like the kids that were there that year, so myself, Dylan Shield, Nathan Wilson, who's had a great career at Freo.
Timmy
and the
Golds.
Giants.
Oh, Goldsy didn't come up, did he? Was he at school still?
Goldsy was kind of in between.
Yeah.
Tom Bugg, Curtly Hampton. We had guys that were, you know, I think helped fast track their development early days, and hence why they got, you know, senior footy in the first, second, third years at the AFL level. But yeah, mate, those years just flew by. And the one I hesitate to say regret, because it's not a regret, because I love my time there, but I feel like I didn't appreciate it as much as I could have, only because I was so young, I was so driven and so motivated. I wanted to have success as an AFL player that footy was everything to me, and my work-life balance wasn't good, and I just didn't appreciate being an 18, 19-year-old kid the way I should have, the way guys like Toby Green and Devon Smith and Taylor Adams had, and yeah, I wish I could have let my hair down a little bit more, but mate, it definitely made me the person that I am now, and well and truly the player. But fond memories. I will always be proud that I was a foundation player and I was a part of the first win of the footy club, and it's something that you can never take away from me, and will always have a little bit of orange in my heart when I eventually do pass. I'll be very proud to have known I played for the Giants.
Something special about the Giants, man. I only played 2 games there, but I think it's like, don't laugh at that. I think it is seriously a special place. There's something about being a part of a team that is so small but also so big.
Yep.
And to see what goes into it. Like I'm actually just looking up the round 1 team. I wanted to get the list because some of the names.
Yeah, I didn't play in that side.
You didn't play round 1?
I was injured. I was in the first win, but I remember that game like it was yesterday, mate.
Yeah. What about some of the players I'm just going through now? It's crazy. Like you got, Dom Tyson obviously played at Melbourne and North. Tomo now at Melbourne. Toby doing what Toby's done.
Yeah.
Jacob
Incredible.
Townsend's won a premiership with Richmond.
Callum Ward obviously kicked the first goal ever for the Giants.
Jeremy
Corns,
Cameron, Dylan
my
Shield,
God.
Devon Smith, Cornelio, Israel Folau.
James
Nathan
McDonald.
Wilson.
James McDonald. Like, you forget a guy like James McDonald. Who's
Will Hoskin-Elliott.
Yeah, superstar.
Adam Kennedy, Phil Davis,
Yeah.
Tom Bugg, Jack Homsch and Tim Moore.
Homshi now coaching. Like,
and people forget, I suppose, even, your former teammate of yours twice, but Will Hoskin-Elliott, sort of his journey to footy too, because he was quite a late bloomer as well.
He was.
Western Jets came on late.
Pick 4, I think he was. Yeah, mate. He's had an incredible career. Ultimate team man, and so happy for him last year when he won that flag. I think Chad Corns is probably the one I'll make mention. Lukey Power, I don't know, was he in that side? He must have missed as well, but Lukey Power was there as well.
Yeah.
Probably the 2 biggest influences on me from a player point of view at the Giants early, and completely opposite in the way that those 2 used to prepare. Like, Lukey was very chill and relaxed. Did you have Lukey at Carlton?
I didn't,
maybe?
but I've had a bit to do with him now because he's at the Blues now.
Yes, he's a beauty, mate.
Yeah.
One of the great human beings.
I've never heard anyone say a bad word about Luke Power.
Love that guy. But then Chad Corns is the whole other spectrum. He's intense, mate. Like, I just remember, like, one of my first experiences playing was 2 hours before the game, and we're all 18-year-old kids shitting ourselves. He has the full tracksuit, pants, trackies, boots on, 2 hours before the game, headphones on. You could hear, so I'm sitting from me to the wall away. You could hear every lyric being spoken through the thing. He's getting the ball booted at him from me to the camera away as hard as he can. This is 2 hours before the game. And we're walking in like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Like, but the way he was as a player and as a person, I have all the time in the world for Chad. And every time I see him, I say g'day. And I love what he taught me. And that was to train hard, really be diligent with everything, get the absolute best out of yourself. And I feel like he was a huge part of like the success post 2012-13 where we only won 3 games, 14-15, and then from there they've only missed finals once, I think, other than 1 year. They've made finals every year other than 1 year. So
it's impressive.
And a part of those foundation guys that were there, Dean Brogan's another one. Those guys were enormous for him.
The Chad Corns is a funny one. I've never played with Chad, and I met him at Wardy's wedding up in Sydney, and I think he it was his eagerness on field, I think, is keen off the field at the wedding too. I felt that same energy on the bus.
Yes.
He's an absolute star.
I love him.
I don't know Chad that well at all. I know Kane sort of well just through the last few years of doing media stuff. Do you go through knowing him and knowing, a little bit about what Kane's about now, do you go, how the hell are these guys related? Or can you see some tendencies together?
I can definitely see it. And I've spoken a bit with Kane as well, and obviously he plays the villain in the media, but I think he does a great job.
I love Kane.
I think he does a tremendous job. And he tells it how it is, and it's hard because players don't want to hear it sometimes, but you need people like that in the media, and I think he does a great job. And
I actually think some of the stuff he says is coaches wouldn't even give that feedback to players, but they probably wait till he's going to do it.
No way. No way.
It's huge.
Yeah, it is.
It's impressive what he does.
They definitely have their, you can see that they're, born from the, what's the saying?
Same cloth?
Yeah.
Cut from the same cloth.
Cut from the same cloth.
Born
Definitely.
from the same
definitely.
I'm not sure
and
what
I
the
don't know
saying
what Kane was like as a player, in terms of preparing, but Chad, mate, was next level.
That's awesome.
The best I've seen.
When did, what was the transition of the move to Collingwood? How'd that come about at the time? Was it just too many players, too many guys? Did you want to come back?
No, I always wanted to come to Melbourne.
Yeah.
It was a big family pull for me, and as I said, I didn't grow up having much, and I was really close with my siblings and stuff, and being away from them was really, really hard.
Mm-hmm. Is that your mum? So your
mum, my stepdad, my older brother, younger sister.
Yep.
And we were obviously extremely close. I remember the day that I left to go to Sydney when I was 7. There was freaking, the airport was full of tears. Everyone was crying. It was a really, really emotional day because I always wanted to play AFL, but I never thought I'd be away from Melbourne. So there was always a lot of me that was going to come back. Again, no regrets. I don't have any regrets. But did I think I was going to come back as early as I did? No, I never thought that. I thought I'd hang on for maybe, hopefully 8 to 10 years. But ultimately I did, and I didn't, and there was a chance for me to come back to Melbourne. And I just jumped at it. I knew the Giants were going to have success straight away, and that was something that was going to burn inside of me because I knew we were going to have success. Because 14 we won 6 games, 15 was my last year, and I think we won 10 or 11 games, and we're right up into the finals hunt with about 3 games to go. And I knew if I were to leave, there's a big chance they're going to play finals. And the following year, obviously played in that famous prelim against the Bulldogs.
That was the one they probably should have won.
Yeah.
The Bulldogs obviously won, ended up winning that year with a miracle sort of fairy tale ending. But that was probably the Giants.
Mate, you look at their teams on paper, in the prelim, look at just the names on paper. The Giants team is absolutely stacked. Oh, mate.
Do you know what's crazy about, and I'm sure this is familiar with every sort of play, but maybe just because I've sort of been connected to you in a sense of we've known each other and been there. But I look at your journey of moving through clubs, and it's so crazy how small the AFL world is, right? You played at the Giants. Now you're at the Bulldogs with Rory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then also, you went to Collingwood. Nathan Buckley was your 15s Vic Metro coach.
Yes.
There's just so much stuff where I don't think the general public would realise how intertwined the relationships are.
Well, when you're around for that long, because as I said, this is my 14th, including that NEFL year, which was in AFL. We lived like AFL athletes. It's been 14 years. And you can imagine the names that have come and gone. Like you mentioned Will Hoskin-Elliott, Collingwood and the Giants. Always see Tim Golds is another one. You forget that he came to Collingwood, so I spent a year with him at Collingwood, GWS Giants.
True.
It blows your mind how much you cross paths. Rory Lobb's another one, obviously.
There'd be probably 4 others that we're forgetting at the moment.
I'm forgetting at the top of my head.
And then that's not even including coaches, assistant coaches, how quickly they move and stuff. We talk about this a lot, but you really can't have too many enemies in the AFL. It's quite hard.
You can't.
So how did the Collingwood situation work?
Well, obviously I narrowed it down to where I wanted to ultimately play, and my relationship with Bucks was something that was really strong.
From under 15s?
Yeah,
Vic Metro?
Vic Country, mate.
Vic Country, sorry.
16s,
So he, just to context, he coached
16s
when he left the Pies.
Yep. I think he's still doing part-time.
Part-time, was
Pies,
he?
Yeah. So it was 2009. He was, I think, maybe a midfield coach. Was it 9? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had a great relationship with him, and obviously I always kept in contact with him. And then that's how it happened, and just went there. And he was someone I wanted to play for, and I loved playing for Bucks. He was someone who was such a big, strong people person, and I love that about him. And he obviously grew in his role from when I was there, 16, 17, and he was, we didn't have the best years from a performance point of view, and he was, highly criticised, but, you could just see how much he was embracing the change of just openly loving his team and loving his players and showing that side of him, and I love that, absolutely love that, and, I cherish my time that I played under him at Collingwood.
What? How do you reflect on the time at Collingwood now? Obviously, if you look from a outside-in perspective, it only gets heightened on like the leaving from Pies. Like, how do you enjoy those first couple of years playing in the grand final? That just another really interesting connection too with and not a positive, but one of the most beautiful people I've ever met in footy, Alex Woodward.
Yes,
your runner.
Superstar.
I've roomed with him under 16s, Vic Metro. You would have known him
Park
as well.
Juniors. We played all our juniors together. Well, how I reflect on it, I think.
Do you even while you're in it though?
Not right now.
Yeah,
but like just proud, mate. I'm very proud of being able to play for Collingwood. Like, they're arguably the biggest club in the land, and I played in a granny. That 2018 side was extremely close, and we were one kick away from obviously winning. But the adversity we faced that year was extreme, and to get there and go through that was a proud, proud, mate. I just wish I played 6 more games. I think I played 94 for Collingwood.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. 79 at Giants, 94 at Pies, and you've on 78 at the moment.
I think I'm 79 actually. I don't think they've counted the game on the weekend.
Okay.
So I think I'm 79 at the Bulldogs.
I'll double check that.
I wish I played 6 more games. Would have been cool to get obviously the name and the number on the locker. But mate, I'm extremely proud, and there's a lot of me that I still openly, support them. Like, I watch them from afar, and I love watching them go about it. You clearly, they had their struggles 21 when obviously Bucks transitioned and then Craig McRae came in, and mate, they're a joy to watch, and I love seeing their players that I played with just blossom, and I'm really close with Jeremy Howe still, and even the love I felt for my 250th a couple of weeks ago, the amount of Collingwood boys that I played with that messaged me was very overwhelming, and I'll always be proud that I was a Collingwood player, and hopefully, once I retire and whatnot, I could go back to the club and, meet people who played, not meet people, but catch up with people who played a big role in my journey, and nothing but love, and I loved I loved playing there.
I know you've obviously done a lot of work with that, and that's the way you feel. But at the time, was it challenging to leave, or was it more just because of the what was the...
No, it was very challenging. Obviously, it wasn't. I didn't want to leave. It was obviously very publicised. Having to leave, that was a real challenge. But I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason, and I've definitely delved into my faith in the last 6 months, which has been a real positive influence on me, and it's opened up things that have happened in my past, and I look back on those experiences, learning experiences, and helping me as a person, and I don't feel like I would be the leader that I am now at the Western Bulldogs the way if I hadn't have left the Pies, and how that's helped me develop just my game itself. I think part of me playing some of my best footy is because I'm not worried about myself. I'm not worried about myself at all when I'm out there. I'm worrying about how can we win? How can I help my teammates? And not saying that's my mindset was opposite to that when I was playing at Pies, or even the Giants in that matter, but like it helped me change because, I went through an experience where it was really hard. I didn't want to leave a footy club. I left because I had to leave. I had to, as a 27-year-old at the time, I had to really challenge myself to find that motivation again to, earn the respect of my Bulldogs teammates and, make my family proud and whatnot. And that was a challenge for someone who's, at that time, it was my 10th year, having to restart again. That was really hard at the time. So, but would I change it? No, I wouldn't change anything the way it's happened. I wouldn't change anything because I wouldn't be the person that I am now.
No, it's an unbelievable insight into the way you work, mate. But it's crazy, to reflect, I suppose, on that what's got you there and what's got you on that reflection, because you leave the Pies, go to the Dogs, and at that stage with Kim, is that when she went interstate?
Yeah.
So you're not only doing that, you've gone to a third club where incredible opportunity that's come off the back of it, but there is a part of going to another club where it is quite exhausting in terms of you've got to, again, set standards, meet new people, whole new administration, fan base, all those bits and pieces. Like,
definitely.
Fuck, doing it again, you wouldn't want to do it 4 times. So
no, mate, no.
That period,
I think also what it does is you would know what it's like as well, mate. You would know after a while, when you're at a footy club, you start to get really comfortable and like, you can sometimes the challenge. You might not challenge yourself as much as you would going into an off season because you're going to get back and you got the same strength coach. I know, what I mean. Yeah. So when I had to leave the Pies, like I don't know what my last game. I don't know how much I weighed. I would have weighed about 90 kilos, 91. I was a real big inside mid. I reckon my first game I played for the Bulldogs, I was about 83 kilos. Like, I look back and challenge myself. I was like, well, obviously I'm not playing at the Pies anymore. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe I need to change the way that I'm playing. And, I went from my first season at the Bulldogs where arguably I probably had a better start that year than I did. I know people openly talking about my season this year from an individual point of view, but I think my 221, my first year at the Bulldogs, the way I started, the way we started, we won our first 9 or 10 games. Like, I was a completely different player than what I was my last year at the Pies. And I wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for obviously having to move on. Yeah. Who knows? I could have gone back to Collingwood pre-season and, done the same thing. And
so what were those reflection points? Were you thinking like, I want to get better at X, Y, Z?
Yeah,
or
definitely.
Did you have the meeting with Collingwood where they explained?
Nah, well, we were in COVID hub, so we had to move on real quick. Yeah. But not really. Not from a footy physical point of view. It was none of that. It was more just... we ultimately got to move you on, and then obviously the challenge of doing that. But I assessed myself, and then having a catch up with Bevo and another person who I love dearly, he gave me a great amount of confidence that if I bring my strengths to the team, I'll really fit in and help out. So, I challenged myself to lose a bit of weight and really trim down, and that's what I did. And it's not that. I've been anal and professional with everything I've done my whole career. That's something I'm really proud of. And I've never been a bad eater. I've never done anything that's going to be a detriment to me. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, at that time, I'd done 2 hammies. I never thought I'd get my speed back. And I'd done a bad hammy where I ripped the tendon off the bone. And it usually takes about 2 years to get your speed back. I never thought I'd get my speed back. So I was resigned to the fact that I'm just going to be an inside midfielder. I may as well just be heavy and strong and be a bull inside. So when I left Collingwood, obviously I wanted, we had obviously the Bont, we had Jacko McRae, Tom Liberatore, Josh Dunkley, these bulls inside who are guns. If they're just going to add me another 90 kilo inside bull, like why not challenge myself? Why not try and get my speed back? Why not lose a bit of weight and see if that just helps me from a soft tissue point of view. And it did, mate. And I've been able to maintain that from when I've gotten to the Bulldogs to now. So, again, just back to those challenges. Like, I probably wouldn't have done that if I hadn't, gone through what I've gone through. So, kind of worked out in the end.
It's definitely worked out in the end, mate. Your season this year, 31 years of age, as you said earlier about your most proudest, maybe that 21 period, but you've got, what do you put this season down to, the consistency of your game? Like, it's as I mentioned earlier, it's not surprising me at all knowing you for a long time and what you've been able to achieve, but would you say this has been your most consistent year?
Well, definitely, yeah. The way I have always, as I've definitely got older, the way I've judged how I individually go is if I'm impacting winning. And, when you're young, you get caught, and I'd be the first to admit you get caught up in worrying about yourself and and that's just the brutal reality. And it took me a long time to realise there's more to footy than just me. And my last couple of years at Collingwood, I'd always have chats with Bucks about that, and really trying to give more of yourself to the team and whatnot. And I look back and think I could have been better in that regard. So that was a part of another challenge.
Off-field or in-field?
Nah, it was more
on-field.
Yeah, on-field. It was never I feel like I'm so hard on myself that sometimes I'd let that show, and I would let that show. And I know I did. I know if I missed a kick or if I worked really hard and I didn't get used, like I would, I'd be angry, and I'd probably show that. Like, I wouldn't be angry at anybody other than myself, and I'd show that with my bad body language. And that's something I never used to be proud of. And because anyone who knows me as a person knows that I'm not a selfish person. Like, I have the time for anybody. And again, another challenge going to the Bulldogs. I've really wanted to dive into that space. And ever since I've been there, like, I've never really worried about anything other than winning. And to answer your question to this season, because, that I've been here now for 4 seasons, I feel like I really, really went into this pre-season wanting to go out of my way for all the young boys in the team. So Riley Sanders, have a great relationship with Sando. I love the kid dearly. He's going to be an absolute superstar. But worrying about him and diving into how he's feeling and trying to get the best out of him. Charlie Clark is another kid in our team who's living with Kim and I at the moment, which is another challenge because he's a 19-year-old boy.
Is he the 19-year-old that you were in Sydney, or is he more the Toby Green type?
He's the Toby Green type. But worrying about that, and I feel like it's just helped me. And, you know, because from a physical point of view, I'm no different than what I was 3 years ago, you know. Like, I feel like I'm running as well as I was, but I just feel like having that freedom of my mind where I'm just not worrying. I'm genuinely not worrying about how I'm going. I'm not worrying about anything else other than if we're winning, if I'm playing my role, whatever that may be, and if I'm doing it to my best of my ability, it's going to give me great opportunity to maybe have individual success, but I don't care. I seriously don't care. Where the young self, mate, that's half of what you're thinking about is, you know, winning best and fairest and you know, winning the Brownlow and being all Australian and all this stuff, but I just don't care. Like, it's
hard to get to that stage without fucking it up, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you can't really get to where you are now without...
Yeah. Mate, I've had moments where I'm not proud. Like, I've had moments where I'm definitely not proud. Like, I've been annoyed that... I remember having a chat with Leon Cameron early days when I felt like I had a really good season, maybe my third or fourth year at the Giants, and I think I came third in the best and fairest, and I thought I should have been higher, and that's just my mind. And I look back now, I was like, no way, mate. The guys that won were better than you, Adam. Like, you're an idiot.
There's a part of me that loves that, though.
Yeah.
Like, so what happened? You thought you should have won?
Oh, well, I must have, yeah. But he said, obviously, I seen you were a little bit frustrated that you came third, and I remember having a chat with him.
It's a killer instinct, though. Like,
it is,
I do, like, sort of being able to harness both of them's a strength.
Yeah.
Like, I know that you say now, and I'm not questioning this at all, that you're in a good place, but I still find it hard to believe that there's not that part of it on game day. Like, when you're out there, like, you've still got to have that competitive edge.
Mate, I still want to be... It's probably... This is the difference. I wanted to be the best player on the ground every game I played when I was younger, and that was from a selfish point of view, regardless of whether we're winning or losing.
Yeah.
Now, I want to be the best version of myself, which I know is still elite.
Yeah.
Elite. And I know if I am, it's going to help our team win.
Yeah.
Where
so you want to be
then,
an individual athlete.
Yeah.
Now you reckon you're more of just in a cog, but go really well.
And I know, because I know that what I do... From a preparation point of view, from a recovery point of view, from all that stuff, I do it as well as anybody. I know that. And that has really helped me because I know my footy will just take care of itself.
If you do everything right.
If I'm worrying about being the best version of myself rather than worrying about being the best player on the ground, whether we win or lose. Like, that's just a selfish mindset. And yeah, they were my struggles early days and not the proudest thing to talk about, but players go through this, whether they're open about it or not.
Bro, you're so honest.
Yeah.
Like, that is the shit that we love talking about, we love hearing, because, man, we've all had those thoughts.
Definitely.
And if you're lying to yourself if you haven't, mate, I used to, and I'm not proud of these things ever, but like playing from a different, I was like, fucking hell, hope this bloke like gets injured this week so I can come in and play.
Yeah.
Like, mate, the shit that I used to think, I was like, well, that's not well, man.
No,
what are you
it's
doing?
not.
But
Even stats, like, even that's something that we always should look at. Man, I used to look at it religiously after every game. Like, my first 6-7 years. Like, I couldn't tell you, in all honesty, the last time I looked at stats after a game. Could not tell you. The only time I ever know, so this is from an individual point of view, the only time I could ever know how I've gone in a game from a stats point of view is if I look up at the screen,
you see him,
and I've kicked a goal or something, I look up and I'll just see, I was like, oh yeah, no worries. But
you feel a bit sick from like some leather poisoning.
But like, that's what I mean. Like, I couldn't tell you the last time I looked at stats. So
I found this recently, Darcy and I were chatting about this before, and like, I found that, you know, you do that when you have a feeling of insecurity about your performance.
Definitely.
And for me, I'm not even logged into our system here to check the listeners. And it's the same thing of looking at your stats, right? You look at it all.
Definitely.
I don't check the charts, I don't do that stuff, but I know that if I do, it's because I'm not feeling good about it. It's not because it's like, I'm trying to seek a
validation.
I'm trying to seek a validation.
It's
I know,
good.
but it was a good listenership, you know. Like, but I'm like, look, if I'm happy and I'm just doing cool stuff and I like it, that's when I'm actually in that flow state.
It is great because that's true. And when you're young and you're insecure and if we've lost, but I've had 30, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah. Where it's not, it's like I know if I've played my role, I know if I haven't, and I don't need stats to validate that for me at all.
It's really cool, mate. What about this year? How do you obviously you've seemed like you're riding that equilibrium piece, you're not getting too high, too low, but this season for the Doggies as a team has been so weird in the sense, like I'm a viewer, I was like, is Bevo getting sacked? Is the whole club fucked? And then you look at it now and you're like, are they going to win the grand final? Like, how do you think as a playing group and even as a leadership like Luke Beveridge and the rest of the club that you've got, how have you stayed in the four walls? Because sometimes the weaker clubs, they let that penetrate and then they're cooked.
Well, that's one thing I'm proud that we don't do. We don't let the outside noise affect us. But no, it has been, from a fan point of view, it's probably frustrating because our best is as good as anybody, but our worst isn't. I mean, look at the last 2 weeks for an example. We got flogged against Adelaide, who at home are a very, very good side. But then we come out and play against North. And yes, North are third last on the ladder or second last. But, mate, they've been playing great footy. And we convincingly won. So I think the thing for us is there's always that belief. We always have that inner belief. And the difference I feel this season is we're not really relying solely on our captain Bont, who, yes, he's had another tremendous year and hopefully he wins the Brownlow. That'd be great. But I feel like my time that I've been at the Bulldogs, not the first year when I was there when we made the granny, it was a really good even spread. But the last couple of years, there's times where we just haven't had that. We just haven't had that consistent performance within the group. And I feel like we've had that this year. Yes, as you mentioned, we've lost some games we probably shouldn't have lost. But I feel like as a whole, we've been really good in that regard. And, you know, you look at guys like Jamar and Sammy Darcy, Aaron Norton, our defenders that are really blossoming. Joel Fraser, who 10th game on the weekend, probably had his best game on the weekend and probably should win the NAB Rising Star nominee for this round. Like, we've had guys really stand up and develop, and it gives you great belief. It doesn't matter who comes in and who's playing. We've always want to be a team that wins off the back of our system rather than relying, as I mentioned, on a guy like Bont or Libber or you know, Sammy Darcy to win us the game. So yeah, we've just got great belief, mate. And I feel like if you can be humming along come the pointy end of the season, and yes, the Adelaide game was a bit of a blimp in the radar. Prior to that, we'd beaten obviously Geelong, Sydney,
Flow State, yeah.
You know, we played some really good games. Carlton, who, you know, 3 really good sides. We then obviously backed that up previous week against North, and now we've got an extremely challenging game against the Giants. I feel like if we're humming along, it gives us a great opportunity going into the finals, and hopefully there is a finals campaign for us.
It's exciting, mate. Yeah, I'm pumped to see what happens in the final series this year. It's going to be hectic to see where it heads. Just thinking about the teams you've played with, the players you've played with, again, you've played with half the AFL, but who would you say, I know it's very hard to split, you've got Bont at one end at Dogs, Pendlebury, Pies, and then I know early days, but you can sort of see where probably Toby's gone to where he is, and there's countless others that could jump into those categories. Can you split? Like, could you split one of them to see, you know?
They're probably the top 3.
Yeah.
I'd throw Steele Sidebottom in there as well.
Mate, he's wound back the clock. He was so important at Brisbane.
But people forget he's 2017, 18, 19, those 3 years, he was incredible. Mate, came second in the Brownlow in 18. He'd be thrown in there as well. Jeremy Howe's another one. But yeah, I think those 3 you mentioned, when I retire, they'll be the ones that I'll probably mention. Very different in their own regard, well and truly.
Yeah.
Obviously, Toby's different early days from those 2 were, but you could always see he was, regardless of where he played, that was the biggest thing for me, because people, again, forget he was a midfielder when he first came in.
He won the most disposals.
Averaged 30 or whatever in his first year. Didn't win the Rising Star because he got suspended.
I think he bashed someone. Yeah.
Yes. Where if there was no suspension, with all due respect to, I think, Daniel Talia won it that year. With all due respect to Daniel Talia, had a great year. Like, Toby would have been vying for that. He probably would have won it. To now see him and seeing how he's had the career, like, it doesn't surprise me because he was so driven and motivated, competitive, do anything to win. You talk about the mindset that I was mentioning with myself, mate. He would never have had that. Well, I'd be surprised if he did have that mindset. Like, you could just tell from the very get-go, do anything for his team, and that was
he just wants to win.
Incredible to see. And, you know, I love watching him. I know my Bulldogs fans out there, because there's a bit of a love-hate relationship with the Giants and the Bulldogs. My Bulldogs fans probably wouldn't like that, but yeah, he's one of my favourite players to watch. Superstar. Bont and Pendles, So the quote again from bred from the same cloth or whatever the quote is, mate. They are very similar in the same in the same regard. The way they prepare and whatnot is incredible. Obviously, different players, in my opinion, very different players because Bont has that aerial game. He's a bit more burst than what Pendles is, but I find that the reason those two stand out, and Toby as well, is in the big moments, they're the ones who always step up, always. And Bont might be from a big grab or whatever it may be, where Pendles might be from making the right decision or being clean in a moment where 99% of players won't be. And Toby's just probably similar to Bont. So, yeah, those guys are ones that I will, look back on and be like to Georgie and if there's future kids for me, I got to play with those guys. Those guys are champions of the game. Yeah,
it's unbelievable. Well said. That those three, they have that in common at that moment when you just go like, game's tight. Like, where are they? Mm-hmm. No matter what, they'll just flick it and do something cool.
Oh, mate, and as I said, the way they go about it is like Bont still finds ways to challenge himself, and like, mate, the guy's done pretty much everything other than win a Brownlow, but done everything. He's done everything.
Hey, mate, as part of the series, Dove Men+Care, I want to give full credit to someone in our lives. Could be a teammate, family member, whoever it is. It's someone who, I suppose, over the last 14 years for yourself through your football career, starting out as a young man at the Giants to the Pies, now at the Dogs, obviously. Has there been someone that you'd love to give full credit to that's sort of helped you out through that journey that they might know or they may not know? It could be more people, but is there someone that might, through there you could be like, fuck, these people have helped me without them even knowing?
Yeah, well, I get asked this question a lot when I do potties and whatnot, and I feel like I've mentioned a few people, and I'm going to mention this guy because I haven't mentioned him like in a podcast yet.
Yeah.
And I'm going to mention Choco Williams. And I love the fact that I played my 250th against Melbourne, and he's obviously there, and he came out and gave me a hug and told me he loved me, which was great. But yeah, my first 2 years with him, so I spent 2 years with him at the Giants. He was our assistant coach, but essentially coached us. Mate, I wouldn't have had the career that I've had, or I wouldn't have had, the ability to grow as a player so quickly if it wasn't for him. Like 100% if it wasn't for him. He very caring. Yes, he's very hard, and he'll tell you if he's freaking angry at you or if he doesn't think you're good enough. But he'll also care for you and, support you and do everything he can to make you be the best version of yourself. And he instilled a lot of good habits in me. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to do 10 reps, make sure they're 10 good reps rather than doing 20 and like say you do 10 reps and you do 6 good reps out of the 10, don't be happy with that. Make it 10. And if it's from 20, be happy with that. Stuff like that. And help me with, being able to review games and watch vision and really understand footy. And I feel like those guys are so invaluable early days. And if you don't have that early days in your AFL career, you can really like creep through the cracks and take you 5 years to eventually get to where you want to get to, where I feel like he really helped fast track my development the first couple of years and really instilled confidence in me to believe that I can be a really, really good player. And just continually supported me and was quite sad when he left at the end of our first year in the AFL. His plan was to stay there for a bit longer, and a lot of us wanted him to, but obviously had to leave. So, yeah, he's someone that every time I see him, I make sure I wave to him, give him a big hug, tell him I appreciate everything he's done for me, even though he probably doesn't know or doesn't really think he had that much of an impact on me because he's coached millions of people. But, yeah, mate, their memories I'll always remember to this day.
It's awesome, mate. It's a grateful credit. It's funny with Choco, we hear so many funny stories about him, and everyone speaks so highly of him as a coach. But to this day, I still think Dylan Shield is the bravest man in the world by ended up marrying, and they're happily married now.
Child as well.
Yeah, little girl together as well. When Dyl tried to was obviously picking up his daughter and taking her for walks around Blacktown. That would have been quite
Breakfast
scary.
Point, mate.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Dylan Shield is married to Choco Williams' daughter. But
yes.
They met while they were there, which
they
is
did.
Yeah,
yes,
great
they did,
story.
which is pretty crazy.
Mate, what's on for the rest of the year for you? Obviously, a big finals tilt, which we put our fingers crossed for the doggies this year to see how you guys can go. Ads and dunks, what's the plans with that? And then are you going to go on a holiday or break?
Yeah. So obviously, hopefully we can play finals and have a good run at it. But post that, I'm going to Hamilton Island with Kimmy. So
Beautiful.
Kimmy and Georgie, they're living in Melbourne now, so they've been away since 2021. So
how are they coping with this Melbourne weather?
Oh, Kimmy never wanted to come back. She loves the heat, as we all do. But yeah, she was ready to come home. Let's be frank. She was well and truly ready. Georgie was ready. She's at a great age now where she knows the difference between Melbourne and Brisbane, and whether Dad's here or there. And they've only been here now for the last 4 weeks, and it's been
that's awesome.
Oh mate, she's the joy of my life, Georgie, and being able to bring her to games and running through the banner for the 250th. Even on the weekend, I had her just in the change room singing the song. So having the girls down here is just incredible, and hopefully we can keep growing the family now, which would be great. Ads and dunks wise, we kind of just go with the flow, mate. We love the podcast game. We'd wanted to do a podcast, for a while, from when we first got to know each other, and it took about a year and a half to get it up and going. But yeah, mate, we've got a great connection, us two. I love the fact that we can now do it from his point of view at the Lions and my point of view at the Bulldogs. I think that is what draws a lot of our
There wouldn't be much
audience in.
any other pod doing that.
No. And I mean, it was great when we were both at the Bulldogs because we do it in person, but I really like that we can, dive into both sides. And obviously his success last year being part of the grand final and playing in a, extraordinarily good game, obviously didn't win, but yeah, I feel like the podcast game is something that we want to keep growing in. And as I mentioned, Brooke's been a great supporter of that. Obviously Tommy Sheridan as well, that was American Aces channel, who we love as well. And it's also something I feel like, I don't do as much media as I used to, and that's by choice. I really like, when I talk, I want people to hopefully listen and whatnot, and being able to do that on our own channel is something that I love as well. So yeah, the podcast game is really exciting. Hopefully there's a finals run for both of us so we can keep people invested and enjoying it.
It's awesome, mate. Make sure you check that out, guys. Ads and dunks. It's as part of the Oz American Aces. We'll chuck a link in the show notes. Everyone can check that out, mate. But honestly, cannot be more thankful for your time today, brother. I know you're a very busy man. Got Georgie out there running amok. She's absolutely dominating, and really, really proud of you, mate. It's so good to see what you've been able to do, and really, really pumped to see what the rest of the year unfolds. But you should be extremely proud of yourself, bro. You've done a great job.
I appreciate it, mate. I do want to say I listen to your pod quite a bit, and you like ending the show giving love to the person here. I want to give you a bit of love, mate. Okay. Obviously, we obviously crossed paths when we were 15, 16, and people heard a lot about you, and I love the fact that you've been able to transition out of footy into your career now, and the way that you bring joy into people's lives by talking about your past experiences, but by bringing people onto your podcast and onto your show. It's truly, truly inspiring, and I love listening to it. I love that you can showcase guys like me and people who have come through the system and really put them on show and celebrate them, and I feel like it's really special what you're doing, and I love listening to it, so well done.
Oh, mate, you're a beautiful man. I really appreciate it, brother. I needed to hear that. Thank you. You're a star. Check out Ads and Dunks. Mate, I'm in love with this guy, Darcy. Do you love him? Yeah, I love him too. All right, good on you, mate. Go Dogs. Cheers, brother.